Rock and roll wasn't just music. It was a mirror of our lives. These rare photos and untold stories capture the moments that made an era unforgettable and remind us why it still matters.
Mama just killed a man.
Boston's debut album was one of the biggest in history, but it was largely a deception. The record was almost entirely recorded by one man, the genius guitarist Tom Scholz, who spent years perfecting it alone in his basement studio. Daltrey and Townsend at Madison Square Garden, 1974. The Quadrophenia tour was a technical disaster. Tapes failing, equipment breaking, Pete losing his mind backstage. But on stage, none of that mattered. Just pure rock and roll firepower. Paul McCartney, Revolver Sessions, 1966. The Beatles stopped touring and moved into the studio full-time. This is where Paul went from pop star to mad scientist. Tape loops, backwards guitars, sounds nobody had tried before. The cute one had ideas. Two generations of bluesmen. Long before this 1988 photo, the Stones hired a then unknown Stevie Ray Vaughan to play a private party in '82. They were so blown away by his talent, they immediately tried to sign him to their own label. Nirvana, 1990. Playing to a handful of people in a record store. This is the calm before the storm. Just a few months later, their drummer would be replaced by a kid named Dave Grohl, and the music world would never be the same again. The Who in 1968 with a psychedelic bus from the Rolling Stones rock and roll circus. The band was on the cusp of a major change, moving from pop art to the full-blown rock opera of Tommy a year later. From Let There Be Rock, filmed in Paris, late '79. Bon Scott, full power, no holding back. A few months later, he was gone. The film wasn't meant to be a farewell, but that's what it became. The last time we see Bon like this. Aja. They'd quit touring years ago. Too messy, too loud. The studio was their world now. Endless takes, the best session players money could buy. Two perfectionists who wouldn't stop until every note was right. And it was. The Doors, shot by Richard Avedon, 1968. No stage, no action, just four faces. Avedon didn't shoot rock bands like rock bands. He shot them like artists. This portrait was different, serious, still. A quiet frame in a loud career. Canada's national treasure, Gordon Lightfoot, in 1971. If You Could Read My Mind had just made him an international star. Even Bob Dylan was a huge admirer, once saying he couldn't think of a single Lightfoot song he didn't like. Blue Öyster Cult in 1976, the year of Don't Fear the Reaper. The smash hit made them mainstream stars, but they were always the thinking man's metal band. Their cryptic, intellectual lyrics set them far apart from their hard rock peers. Styx in 1979, the year they hit #1 with the ballad Babe. But that massive success was the beginning of the end. The band's rockers hated the song, creating a deep creative rift that would ultimately break up the band at its peak. The Toxic Twins, reunited. After years of decline, Aerosmith's comeback was sealed by Run DMC's groundbreaking cover of Walk This Way. The collaboration was a massive hit that brought the band back from the dead and into the MTV era. Mick and Keith in the basement of a French villa, 1971, making Exile on Main Street. The sessions ran all night, every night, loose, hazy, fueled by whatever was around. But in moments like this, the Glimmer Twins found it, the raw, ragged heart of rock and roll. The Ultimate Rock Gods Summit in New York, 1983. After Led Zeppelin's end, Robert Plant was struggling to find his voice as a solo artist. Phil Collins, at the absolute peak of his solo power, stepped in to drum on Plant's first 2 albums, becoming a key anchor for his friend. Mick Jagger and Jimi Hendrix, 1969. Jimmy came to catch the Stones at the Garden. 2 guys who changed what it meant to be on stage. Not competing, just respect. When you're at that level, you recognize your own. Two titans of Heartland rock, backstage in Detroit. That night, Springsteen made a surprise appearance on Seeger's stage, joining his hero for a legendary jam. A true passing of the torch moment for American rock and roll. The greatest rock and roll band in the world, joined by American royalty. Stephen Stills sits in with the Rolling Stones in 1970. A legendary spontaneous jam session between 2 bands at the absolute peak of their powers. The legendary Cherry Vanilla. Before she was a punk rock pioneer in London, she was David Bowie's publicist during the Ziggy Stardust era in New York. A true trailblazer, her outrageous stage act kicked down doors for generations of female performers.